$2.98. That's what it cost to punish you for saying a word you weren't supposed to say. But here's what they never told you about that punishment. They weren't teaching you manners. They were teaching you that words have consequences. And they were right. But not in the way you think. Because here's what almost nobody understands, and what they've been hiding from you since 1946. Your words don't describe reality. They program it. Every time you say, "I always struggle, I'm bad with money," that's just how I am. You're not talking about yourself. You're locking in outcomes. And you've been doing it unconsciously for years. A physicist who helped build the atomic bomb proved something that should have changed everything. Observation doesn't influence reality. It collapses it. And language? Language is observation that never stops, which means every sentence you speak is quietly fixing your future into place. If your life feels stuck, if the same patterns keep repeating, if opportunities vanish the moment you reach for them, this is why. And once you see how it works, you'll realize something terrifying. You've been speaking instructions to reality your entire life, without knowing the language you were using. Let me shatter the illusion completely. You think words are just words, neutral sounds, tools for sharing information, ways to communicate what's already happening in a reality that exists independent of you. That's the lie. That's the programming. That's what they taught you in school, so you'd never realize what you're actually holding in your mouth every time you speak. Because if you knew, if you really understood what happens in the quantum field when you speak, you'd treat every sentence like a loaded weapon. You'd guard your tongue like a priest guarding a holy relic. You'd go silent for hours just to stop accidentally programming limitation into your life. Here's what they never taught you in any classroom. Reality isn't solid. It's not fixed. It's not out there waiting to be discovered like some objective stage where your life plays out. At the quantum level, the fundamental level, the level where everything in your world is actually constructed, reality is a field of probability. Waves of potential, infinite possibilities existing simultaneously in a state called superposition. Every version of your life, rich, poor, healthy, sick, successful, struggling, loved, alone. All of it exists right now as probability waves in the quantum field. And every time you observe something, every time you name it, label it, speak about it, measure it in any way, you collapse that wave. You select one possibility out of infinite options. You fix it into form. This isn't mysticism. This isn't belief. This isn't some spiritual bypassing nonsense. This is physics, established, proven, undeniable. And the man who proved it? He wasn't some fringe theorist or New Age guru. He was a giant, a Princeton physicist, a colleague of Einstein and Niels Bohr. His name was John Archibald Wheeler. You've probably never heard of him. And that's by design. Because what he discovered, what he spent the last decades of his life trying to communicate, should have revolutionized not just physics, but psychology, education, medicine, economics, everything. It should have changed how we raise children, how we talk to ourselves, how we understand human potential. But it didn't, because the implications were too dangerous, too destabilizing, too threatening to every system built on keeping you small. Wheeler worked on the Manhattan Project. He helped build the atomic bomb. He coined the term black hole. He mentored Richard Feynman, one of the greatest physicists of the 20th century. This was not a man prone to wild speculation. And yet, late in his career, after decades studying quantum mechanics, after witnessing reality's deepest secrets, he proposed something so radical that most of the scientific establishment tried to ignore it: the participatory universe. Wheeler said this, and I want you to hear these words slowly, let them actually land. No phenomenon is a phenomenon until it is observed. Not observation reveals the phenomenon. Not observation discovers what was always there. Not observation helps us understand reality. Observation creates the phenomenon. Meaning, before you look, before you measure, before you name something, it doesn't exist in fixed form. It exists in a state of pure potential, every possibility at once, undefined, fluid, waiting. Like Schrödinger's famous cat, alive and dead simultaneously until someone opens the box. But the moment you observe it, the moment you interact with it, the moment you pay attention to it, the wave collapses, the probabilities narrow, reality crystallizes into one specific form. Now here's where your life connects to this. Language is structured observation. When you say, "I'm terrible with money," you're not describing a pre-existing fact about yourself. You're performing a measurement. You're collapsing the probability field. You're selecting one timeline out of infinite possibilities, the timeline where you struggle financially, and locking it in. When you say, "My health always fails me," you're not being honest about your medical history. You're measuring yourself into that pattern. You're observing it into continuity. When you say, "I'll never find love again at my age," you're not protecting yourself from disappointment. You're programming your future. You're collapsing the wave function of your romantic life into isolation. Because, and this is critical, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between description and command. It doesn't care if you're just being realistic. It doesn't register your sarcasm or your defeat or your resignation. It hears the words, it accepts them as measurement, and it builds your reality to match. This is why positive thinking alone doesn't work. This is why affirmations feel fake and don't stick. This is why you can read every self-help book, watch every motivational video, go to every seminar, and still end up in the same place. Because you're not changing your language at the quantum level. You're slapping positive words over negative core beliefs like putting a band-aid on a bullet wound. And your subconscious, the part actually running the show, the part that controls 95% of your behavior, knows the difference. Wheeler understood something that mystics had known for millennia. You are not separate from reality. You are actively creating it every single moment through the act of observation. And since you observe through language, since you think in words, speak in words, describe yourself in words, your language is literally the programming code of your reality. But here's what makes this even more powerful and more dangerous. The quantum field doesn't just respond to conscious observation. It responds to all observation, including especially unconscious, repetitive observation, which means the phrases you say without thinking, the stories you tell automatically, the descriptions you give reflexively. Those are the most powerful programming commands of all, because they're operating 24/7 beneath your awareness, constantly collapsing the same probability waves into the same outcomes. This is what Wheeler called the observer effect. But ancient mystics, people who understood this truth thousands of years before we had particle accelerators, called it something else: the power of the spoken word. Same mechanism, different vocabulary. Wheeler described it in the language of quantum mechanics. The mystics described it in the language of spirit. But they were both pointing at the same truth. Your words shape reality, not metaphorically, literally. And now you're starting to see why every spiritual tradition on earth, every single one, warned people to guard their tongue, not because words are magic, because words are physics. Because once you understand this mechanism, once you really see how it works, you can never go back to unconscious speech. You can never again pretend that your words don't matter. You can never again hide behind, "I'm just being honest," when you speak limitation over your life. Because now you know, you're not describing reality, you're creating it. Let me go deeper into the quantum mechanics, so you understand exactly how this works. The double-slit experiment. You might have heard of this. It's one of the most famous experiments in physics, and it broke reality as we knew it. Scientists shot electrons, tiny particles, through two slits at a screen, when no one was watching? The electrons behaved like waves. They created an interference pattern, like ripples in water hitting two openings and creating overlapping waves. But the moment they put a detector there to observe which slit the electron went through, the wave collapsed. The electron became a particle. It went through one slit, not both. The act of observation, the act of measurement, literally changed physical reality, not the scientists' interpretation of reality, not how they perceived reality, reality itself, the actual behavior of matter. Now let's bring this to your life. When you're not actively observing yourself, when you're just living, flowing, being, you exist in a state of maximum potential. Multiple timelines available, multiple outcomes possible, flexibility, possibility, but the moment you measure yourself, the moment you say, I am X, or I always Y, or I can't Z, the wave collapses. Your potential narrows. You become fixed. And the more you repeat that measurement, the more solid it becomes. This is why people who constantly talk about their limitations stay limited. This is why people who always tell the same victim story keep experiencing victimhood. They're not describing their reality. They're continuously recreating it through repeated observation. Wheeler went even further. He proposed something called the delayed choice experiment. Without getting too technical, he showed that observation in the present can actually affect what happened in the past. That the act of measurement reaches backward through time and determines which path a particle took. Let that sink in. Your observation now can restructure what already happened. This is why the revision technique works. Why rewriting your past in your mind actually changes your present. Not because you're lying to yourself, because you're performing a quantum measurement that reorganizes your timeline. Your subconscious doesn't timestamp memories as past. It stores them as data, and when you revise that data emotionally, when you observe it differently, when you speak about it differently, you collapse a new version of reality that includes a different past. This is not pseudoscience. This is cutting-edge quantum mechanics, and it explains why people who change their story about their past suddenly find their present circumstances shifting. They're not in denial. They're performing quantum reconstruction. Now let's talk about quantum entanglement, because this explains why your words affect more than just you. When two particles become entangled, they remain connected no matter how far apart they are. Change one, the other changes instantly, even if they're on opposite sides of the universe. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. But it's real. It's been proven thousands of times. And here's the application. You are quantumly entangled with everything you observe. When you speak about someone, when you label them, judge them, define them, you're not just affecting how you see them, you're collapsing their probability wave in relation to you. This is why gossip is so destructive. Not morally, energetically. Every time you speak negatively about someone, you're entangling with them at that frequency. And that entanglement creates a feedback loop that affects both of you. This is why the mystics taught, bless your enemies. Not because it's nice, not because it's righteous, and because blessing them collapses a different probability wave in your shared field. It changes the nature of your entanglement. It reprograms the relationship at the quantum level. And when you change how you observe them, they often, mysteriously, change how they behave toward you. Not because you manipulated them, because you collapsed a different version of the relationship into form. One more quantum principle you need to understand. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle. You can't measure both the position and momentum of a particle simultaneously with perfect accuracy. The act of measuring one makes the other uncertain. Translation for your life. You can't be in two states at once. When you say, I want to be rich, but I'm afraid of money, you're trying to collapse two contradictory waves. Your quantum state becomes uncertain, unstable, chaotic. The field doesn't know which reality to create because you're sending mixed signals. This is why people who talk about what they want while simultaneously describing why they can't have it stay stuck. They're creating quantum interference. Their words are cancelling each other out at the field level. So nothing manifests. Or things manifest and immediately disappear. Because there's no coherent signal, no clear measurement, no stable observation. The fix, singular observation, clear measurement, coherent language. You can't say I am wealthy in the morning and I'm so broke in the afternoon and expect the field to respond. You have to choose which reality you're observing into existence and stay there. This is what Wheeler meant by participatory. You're not a passive observer. You're an active participant in the creation of your reality. And your primary tool for participation is language. So the question becomes, what reality are you speaking into existence right now? Here's what they don't tell you in Sunday school, in history class, or anywhere else they're supposed to educate you. The Bible's creation story isn't a metaphor. It isn't primitive people trying to explain things they didn't understand. It isn't poetry. It's a technical manual. Genesis 1 verse 3. And God said, "Let there be light, and there was light." Hear that again, slowly. Not God thought about light. Not God willed light into existence. Not God worked to create light. God spoke. And reality formed. That's the whole mechanism, right there. In the first chapter of the most widely read book in human history, speech creates form. Observation collapses potential. Language structures reality. Now you might think that's just religious doctrine, ancient storytelling, metaphorical teaching. But let me show you something that will completely change how you see that verse. In Hebrew, the original language of Genesis, the word for word is Dabar. But Dabar doesn't just mean word. It's not a simple translation. Dabar is a tri-concept that means word, speech, communication. Thing, physical matter, object. Action, event, occurrence, deed. Same root, same term, same concept. Meaning, in Hebrew consciousness there is no separation between speaking and creating. Words don't describe things that already exist. Words are things. Words create things. Speech and matter are different expressions of the same reality. This isn't metaphysics. This is encoded in the language itself. The ancient Hebrews understood something that modern physics is only now confirming. At the quantum level, information and matter are interchangeable. Wheeler himself said it. It from bit. Physical reality, it, emerges from information, bit. And language is structured information, which means language literally constructs physical reality. The Hebrews knew this. They built their entire spiritual practice around it, which is why they had rules. Strict ones, sacred ones, dangerous ones. You know the third commandment, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord in vain." You are probably taught that means don't curse using God's name. Don't say, "God damn it." Don't be disrespectful, that's not what it means. Not even close. The name they were forbidden to speak was Yahweh, the Tetragrammaton, the four-letter name of God himself. And it wasn't forbidden because it was disrespectful or inappropriate. It was forbidden because speaking it had consequences, real ones, physical ones, quantum ones. Why? Because naming something collapses it, defines it, limits it. And the infinite, the absolute, the source of all reality, cannot be collapsed without destroying its infinite potential. Think about it in quantum terms. God, in Hebrew thought, is Ein Sof, without end. Infinite potential, all possibilities, pure superposition. The moment you name that, you measure it, you assign it definition. You collapse the infinite into a finite form. And once you do that, once you make the infinite finite, you've destroyed the very thing you were trying to access. The ancient priests understood this at a level that would make modern physicists uncomfortable. This is why only the high priest could speak the name, and only once a year, in the Holy of Holies, alone, not out of tradition, not out of ritual for its own sake, out of quantum necessity. because speaking the name collapsed the field in a specific way. And doing it too often, or in the wrong context, or without the proper preparation would. Well, the texts say the priest could die if he did it wrong. You think that's superstition? What if it was recognition that misusing the quantum creative force could literally destabilize the person doing it? That bringing that much coherent intention into form without proper energetic preparation could short-circuit the human nervous system? There are documented cases of people experiencing massive energetic surges during deep meditation or spiritual experiences. Spontaneous healings, nervous breakdowns, physical transformations. What the mystics knew, and what science is now discovering, is that consciousness and matter are not separate, and at certain levels of coherence, certain levels of focused intent. Speaking can create energy cascades that physically affect the body. Now let's travel to Egypt. The priests of ancient Egypt practiced something called hika. It's usually translated as magic, and that translation has done more damage to understanding than almost anything else. Because Heka wasn't about spells and tricks and Harry Potter nonsense. Heka was the primordial force through which the gods structured reality. It was considered as fundamental as gravity, as essential as breath, and it was activated entirely through precise spoken formulas. The priests spent years, sometimes decades, memorizing these formulas word for word, not approximately, not close enough, not with variations, exactly. Every syllable, every intonation, every pause. Why? Because they understood that language is code, and incorrect code produces incorrect results. Change one syllable in a Heka formula, and you might open the wrong door, collapse the wrong probability, create an outcome you didn't intend. This is why the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which is really a guide for navigating death and rebirth, is filled with specific phrases the deceased must speak to pass through each gate. Not pray, not hope, not wish. Speak, declare, command. I know the names of the 42 gods. I have not committed sin. I am pure. These weren't requests. These were passwords, reality codes that unlocked specific states. And the Egyptians knew, speak the wrong code, get the wrong result. This isn't superstition. This is linguistic programming at the cosmic level. Now let's go to ancient Greece. Heraclitus, one of the pre-Socratic philosophers, taught that all of reality was governed by the Logos. You've heard that word. It appears in the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Logos, usually translated as the Word. But Logos means so much more than that. Logos is the ordering principle of the cosmos, the rational structure underlying all change, the intelligence embedded in speech, the pattern that governs reality itself. Heraclitus said, though the Logos is common to all, most people live as if they had their own private understanding. Translation: there is an objective linguistic structure that governs reality. But most people don't realize it. So they speak unconsciously and wonder why their lives are chaos. He also said, you cannot step in the same river twice. Why? Because reality is constant flow, constant change, constant becoming. But, and here's the key, the Logos provides the structure within which that change happens. And the Logos is accessed through speech, which means you can't control the river, but you can speak the direction it flows. This wasn't philosophy. This was technology. Pythagoras, another Greek mystic philosopher, took it even further. He taught that reality was fundamentally mathematical, that numbers and ratios governed all form. But he also taught that sound was the bridge between mathematics and matter. Specific vibrations, specific frequencies, created specific forms. And speech. Speech is vibration made intentional. The Pythagoreans believed that speaking the right syllables in the right sequence could literally rearrange matter. And modern cymatics, the study of how sound creates patterns, has proven them right. When you play specific frequencies through water or sand, they form geometric patterns, perfect symmetries, crystalline structures. Different sounds create different forms. Now apply that to your life. Your words are vibrations, and those vibrations organize the quantum field around you into specific patterns. Speak limitation, you create limitation patterns. Speak abundance, you create abundance patterns. Not because the universe is listening like a person, because you're literally vibrating the field into form. Let's go to the Far East. In Buddhism, there's a practice called mantra. A mantra is a sacred sound or phrase repeated during meditation. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Namah Shivaya, Gate Gate Paragate. Westerners think mantras are just focus tools, ways to quiet the mind. But the Buddhist understanding goes deeper. Each mantra is a specific vibration that tunes consciousness to a specific state. It's not about the meaning, it's about the sonic structure. The vibration itself reorganizes your energy field. This is why mantras are in Sanskrit. Not because Sanskrit is holy, but because Sanskrit syllables were engineered for maximum vibrational impact. Each sound was designed to activate specific energy centers, trigger specific neural pathways, collapse specific probability states. It's acoustic technology, disguised as a religion. And the proof? Neuroimaging studies show that specific mantras activate specific brain regions in consistent, repeatable ways. The sounds themselves change your brain structure. Now come with me to indigenous traditions. In many Native American tribes, knowing someone's true name gave you power over them. This wasn't metaphor. This wasn't primitive belief. This was understanding quantum entanglement at the linguistic level. When you speak someone's name, their true name, their essence name, you create a connection, a measurement, a collapse. You entangle with them. And through that entanglement, you can influence their probability field. This is why many tribes had public names and private names. The private name, the true name, was kept secret, protected, because speaking it gave access to their quantum field. You think that's superstition? Think about this. When someone you love says your name in a certain way, you feel it in your body. You respond. Something shifts. That's not psychology. That's energetic entanglement through linguistic resonance. One more example, and this one's going to blow your mind. In medieval grimoires, books of ceremonial magic, spells required specific words spoken in specific orders. Change the word order? Spell fails. Mispronounce a syllable? Spell fails. Speak it without proper intent? Spell fails. We've dismissed this as superstition for centuries. But what if these grimoires were actually encoding quantum linguistic protocols? What if spell literally meant spelling, arranging letters and sounds in specific sequences to collapse specific outcomes? What if the magic circle wasn't protection from demons, but a way to contain and focus the quantum field during the observation collapse process? What if the magical names of angels and demons were actually frequency codes for accessing specific archetypal patterns in the collective unconscious? I'm not saying demons are real. I'm saying the technology encoded in these systems might be. And we threw it all out because we couldn't understand the mechanism. But now, quantum physics, with our understanding of how observation collapses reality, with our knowledge of how language structures consciousness, we can decode what the ancients knew. And here's the pattern you need to see. Every single ancient tradition, Hebrew, Egyptian, Greek, Buddhist, Hindu, Native American, Celtic, every single one, treated words as dangerous, as powerful, as creative forces that must be used with precision. Not because they were primitive, because they understood something we forgot, and that something is this: reality is not solid. It's fluid, it's responsive, it's participatory, And language is the primary tool through which human consciousness participates in its creation. Wheeler proved it with physics. The ancients guarded it with religion. And now you know it. So the question becomes, are you going to keep speaking unconsciously? Or are you finally going to use this power the way it was meant to be used? Now that you understand the foundation, the physics, and the ancient wisdom, let me break down the exact mechanism by which your words are programming your reality. I call this the reality fixation loop. 5 steps. Runs 24/7. Creates your entire lived experience. And once you see it, once you really understand how it works, you'll never be able to speak unconsciously again. Step 1. Words assign. Meaning. When you say, "I'm broke," you think you're describing your bank balance. But you're not. You're assigning an identity, a classification, a state of being, and your nervous system, which doesn't distinguish between objective reality and repeated suggestion, records that classification as truth. Not temporary truth, not today's truth. Identity-level truth. I am broke doesn't mean I currently have less money than I'd like. To your subconscious, it means broke is what I am. It's my nature. It's my identity. And once something becomes identity, your entire system organizes itself to maintain that identity. This is why identity-level change is so hard. Your ego, the part of you that maintains coherence, will sabotage anything that threatens your established identity. Not because it's bad, because it's doing its job, keeping you consistent. So when you say, "I'm broke," repeatedly, you're not just describing money, you're encoding brokenness as a core identity. And your subconscious will do everything in its power to prove that identity correct. Step 2. Meaning directs observation. Here's where the quantum physics kicks in. Once you've labeled yourself, once you've assigned meaning, your brain's reticular activating system, RAS, starts filtering reality through that lens. The RAS is the part of your brain that determines what you notice and what you ignore. You can be in a room with 1,000 data points, but your RAS will only let through the ones that match your current beliefs. This is why when you buy a red car, you suddenly see red cars everywhere. They were always there, but now you're observing for them. Same principle with money. When you've labeled yourself as broke, your RAS filters reality to show you evidence of brokenness. You notice every bill, every expense, every person who has more than you, every opportunity you can't afford. And you stop noticing the money that is flowing to you, the opportunities that are available, the abundance that is present. Not because it's not there, because you're not observing for it. Your words changed your filter, and your filter changed what collapses into your reality. Step 3. Observation. Collapses probability. Now we're in pure Wheeler territory, your focused attention on being broke, reinforced by your words, filtered by your RAS. Collapses the probability wave. Remember, at the quantum level, multiple realities exist simultaneously. There's a timeline where you're struggling. There's a timeline where you're thriving. There's a timeline where you're somewhere in between. All of them exist as probability waves until you observe one into form. And your observation isn't neutral. Your observation selects which wave collapses. When you say, "I'm always broke," and then look at your bank account with that expectation, you're not just seeing what's there. You're collapsing one specific timeline, the broke timeline, into material form. And because quantum observation is participatory, your expectation influences the outcome. This has been proven in laboratory settings thousands of times. The observer effect isn't debatable. It's established science. And it applies to your bank account just as much as it applies to electrons. Step 4. Repetition stabilizes the outcome. Here's what makes this loop so dangerous. Every time you repeat the phrase, you reinforce the measurement. It's like taking a photograph of the same scene over and over and over. Each repetition makes the image sharper, more defined, more solid. When you say, "I'm always broke" once, you collapse a probability. When you say it 100 times, you stabilize that probability into a persistent reality. Your subconscious treats repetition as proof. One observation could be random. 100 observations must be truth. This is how habits form, how beliefs solidify, how identity gets locked in. And the most dangerous repetitions are the ones you don't even notice. The automatic phrases, the throwaway comments, the jokes you make about yourself. "I'm so bad with money, haha. I'll probably mess this up." That's not for people like me. Each one is a quantum measurement, and each measurement collapses your future a little more into that pattern. Step 5. Outcome. Reinforces the language. And then, inevitably, because you've been collapsing it into form for months or years, the outcome shows up. The bill arrives, the expense hits, the opportunity falls through, the money leaves as fast as it came. And what do you say when it happens? "See, I told you I'm always broke. That's just how it is for me." And the loop closes. The cycle repeats. The reality hardens. You've just used the outcome you created as evidence to justify creating more of it. This is the trap, the prison, the feedback loop that most people live in their entire lives without ever seeing it. They think they're being honest, realistic, just telling it like it is. But they're not. They're continuously recreating the same reality through unconscious linguistic repetition. Now let me show you how this same loop runs in other areas. Health. I always get sick in winter. Step 1. Identity assignment. I am someone who gets sick in winter. Step 2. RAS filters for symptoms. You notice every sniffle, every cough, every cold person near you. Step 3. Observation collapses probability. Your immune system responds to your expectation. Step 4. Repetition. You say it every year, programming it deeper. Step 5. Outcome. You get sick, proving yourself right, strengthening the loop. Relationships. I always attract the wrong people. Step 1. Identity. I am someone who attracts wrong people. Step 2. Filter. You notice red flags, ignore green flags, focus on problems. Step 3. Collapse. You unconsciously select partners who match your expectation. Step 4. Repetition. Every failed relationship reinforces the pattern. Step 5. Outcome. Another bad relationship, proving yourself right. Career. I'll never get promoted. Step 1. Identity. I am not promotion material. Step 2. Filter. You notice every time you're passed over. Ignore every positive signal. Step 3. Collapse. You unconsciously behave in ways that confirm your belief. Step 4. Repetition. You tell this story to friends, family, yourself. Step 5. Outcome. No promotion. Strengthening the loop. See the pattern? Your words create a filter. Your filter directs observation. Observation collapses probability. Repetition stabilizes reality. Reality reinforces the words. Round and round, year after year, decade after decade. And here's the truly terrifying part. Most people don't even realize they're doing this. They think they're just describing reality, being honest, facing facts, but they're not describing anything. They're constructing, they're building, they're programming every single day. Now let's talk about what the ancient world called this mechanism, a curse. You hear that word and you think Hollywood. Hexes, voodoo dolls. Nonsense. But strip away the mysticism and here's what a curse actually is. A repeated measurement of a negative outcome. That's it. That's the whole mechanism. Someone says, "You'll never amount to anything." That's the initial measurement, the first observation. the probability collapse. If you hear it, accept it, and repeat it to yourself. You've now taken over the measurement. You're continuing the observation. You're reinforcing the collapse. The curse doesn't need magic. It just needs your agreement and your repetition. And the most dangerous curses, the ones that destroy lives, aren't cast by others. They're self-inflicted. Because no one has more access to your subconscious than you. No one repeats messages to you more than you repeat them to yourself. No one's words affect you more powerfully than your own. Every time you say, "I'm not smart enough. I'm too old for this. My memory's going. I'll probably fail. Nothing ever works out for me. I'm just unlucky." That's not for people like me. You're cursing yourself. You're performing a quantum measurement that collapses your future into that exact limitation. And the worst part? You think you're being realistic. You think you're protecting yourself from disappointment. You think you're just being honest. But you're not. You're using the most powerful creative force in existence, your voice, to program limitation into your life. Now let me show you why monks practiced silence. You were told it was about humility, devotion, clearing the mind for prayer. Surface level. Sure. But the deeper understanding, the one they didn't share with outsiders, was this. Silence prevents premature reality collapse. Monks understood that speech fixes outcomes, that language hardens fate. By staying silent, they kept their future open, fluid, full of potential. They preserved the superposition state. Think about Schrödinger's cat again. As long as you don't open the box, the cat is both alive and dead. All possibilities exist. The moment you open the box, the moment you observe. One possibility becomes real and all others vanish. Silence is keeping the box closed. Speech is opening it. And if you're not sure which outcome you want, if you haven't clarified your intention, if you're still confused or conflicted, silence protects you from collapsing the wrong timeline. This is why Jesus went into the desert for 40 days of silence before beginning his ministry. Why Buddha sat in silence under the Bodhi tree before his enlightenment. Why indigenous vision quests required silence. They were preserving probability space, preventing premature collapse, keeping the field open until they had absolute clarity on what to speak into existence. But here's what most people miss. The power goes both ways. If words can collapse negative outcomes, they can collapse positive ones. If language can program limitation, it can program expansion. If speech can curse, it can bless. But only if you understand the protocol. Only if you use it consciously. Only if you stop letting your mouth run on autopilot, broadcasting the same old program that created the life you have instead of the life you want. Now let's get uncomfortably specific about where this is happening in your life right now. Because right now, today, this very moment, you are narrating your existence, not always out loud, not always consciously, but constantly, relentlessly, without pause. A running internal monologue that never stops, a continuous stream of observations, judgments, descriptions, and measurements. And that monologue, every single word of it, is actively collapsing your future. Let me show you exactly where it's happening. See if you recognize yourself. The morning collapse. You wake up, before you even open your eyes fully, before your feet hit the floor. The measurement begins. What's the first thing you think when consciousness returns? If it's some variation of, "Ugh, already? I'm so tired. Here we go again. I don't want to do this today." You just collapsed your entire day into resistance and fatigue. Not because the day is resistant and fatiguing, but because you observed it into that state before it even began. Your words, even your silent internal words, sent a signal to your autonomic nervous system. Today is a burden. Prepare for struggle, allocate minimal energy, and your body responds accordingly. Your cortisol levels spike. Your energy reserves contract. Your cellular function downgrades to survival mode. Not because of what's happening, because of what you said was happening. Then you walk to the bathroom. You look in the mirror. What do you say? God, I look terrible. I'm getting so old. Look at those wrinkles, that belly, that hair. I used to look better than this. Quantum measurement. Identity collapses into aging, declining, deteriorating. Your self-image, the internal picture your subconscious uses to regulate everything from posture to hormone production, just got reprogrammed for decay. And you did it before 7 a.m. The identity collapse. Throughout the day, you're constantly defining yourself, mostly without realizing it. Someone asks you to help with technology. Oh, I'm terrible with computers. Measurement made. Capability collapsed into limitation. Someone mentions a new skill or opportunity. I'm too old to learn that now. Measurement made. Potential collapsed into impossibility. Someone compliments you. Oh, it's nothing special. Anyone could do it. Measurement made. Value collapsed into ordinariness. Each of these feels harmless. Just conversation. Just being humble. Just being realistic. But every single one is a quantum observation that fixes your identity into a specific form. And your subconscious doesn't debate it, doesn't question it. It accepts it as instruction and builds accordingly. Here's what's insidious about this. You think you're describing who you are, but you're actually creating who you are. The you that exists is not fixed, not solid, not permanent. At the quantum level, you're a field of probability. Multiple potential versions existing simultaneously. There's a you who's excellent with technology. There's a you who's perfectly capable of learning new skills at any age. There's a you who creates exceptional value. All of these exist as probability waves. And every time you speak, you collapse one wave and eliminate the others. I'm terrible with computers doesn't describe reality. It selects a reality from the field of possibility and makes it real. The money collapse. This is where it gets financially painful. Every time you look at your bank account, what do you say? I never have enough. It just disappears. I work so hard and have nothing to show for it. Each statement is a measurement that collapses your financial timeline. But it's even more specific than that. Quantum physics has proven something called quantum entanglement at a distance. When two particles become entangled, they remain connected regardless of physical separation. Change one, the other changes instantly. You are quantumly entangled with money. Not metaphorically, energetically. Every time you speak about money, especially with emotional charge, you're strengthening that entanglement. Speak about money with fear. You entangle with it at the frequency of fear. Speak about money with resentment. You entangle with it at the frequency of resentment. Speak about money with scarcity. You entangle with it at the frequency of scarcity. And here's the law. Entangled particles mirror each other's states. If you're vibrating at scarcity, money vibrates at scarcity in relation to you, which means it appears scarce. It behaves scarcely. It flows scarcely. Not because money itself is scarce, because your observation of money collapsed it into scarcity. Same principle with abundance. People who speak about money with ease, with confidence, with expectation of flow. They're entangling with money at the frequency of abundance, and money responds by appearing abundantly, flowing abundantly, multiplying abundantly. Same money. Different quantum observation, different collapsed reality. The health collapse. Your body is listening to every word you say about it, not poetically, literally. Your cells have receptors for every neurochemical your brain produces, and your brain produces neurochemicals in response to your thoughts and words. When you say, I'm always tired, your brain releases the neurochemical signature of fatigue. Your cells receive that signal and respond by, decreasing ATP production, cellular energy, increasing inflammatory markers, reducing mitochondrial function, down-regulating repair mechanisms. You literally program your cells into fatigue through language. When you say, "My back always hurts," you're doing three things. 1. Directing your attention to back pain, RAS filters for it. 2. Strengthening neural pathways associated with pain perception. 3. Collapsing probability into continued back pain. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research has proven this repeatedly. Your body responds to your mental rehearsal as if it's physically happening. Imagine biting into a lemon right now. Really visualize it. The sourness, the pucker. Your mouth is watering, isn't it? Your body responded to words and imagery as if it was real. Now apply that to every health statement you make. I always get sick in winter. My memory's going. I can't eat that anymore. My knees are shot. Each one is a command your body accepts as instruction. And here's what makes it worse. Repetition creates neural permanence. The first time you say, "My memory's going," it creates a weak neural pathway. The 100th time, that pathway is a superhighway. Your brain has now dedicated significant neural real estate to the belief that your memory is declining. And what does it do with that belief? It makes it true. It stops forming new memory connections as efficiently. It doesn't prioritize memory recall. It accepts forgetfulness as normal. Not because your brain is broken, because you programmed it to operate that way through repeated linguistic measurement. The relationship collapse. Every word you speak about your relationships shapes them. You say, "My kids never call anymore." Quantum measurement. Relationship collapses into distance. Your energy field, the invisible but measurable electromagnetic signature you emit. Now broadcasts, "My children are distant." And through quantum entanglement, which has been proven to exist between emotionally connected humans. That signal affects them, not consciously, energetically. They feel the pull of your expectation, the weight of your observation, and unconsciously they respond by not calling, not because they don't love you, because you collapsed the probability wave of your relationship into distance, and they're responding to the field you're creating. You say, "I always attract the wrong people." Measurement made. Attraction pattern locked in. Your RAS now filters potential partners through that lens. You notice red flags. You ignore green flags. You unconsciously select people who confirm your belief. And when it doesn't work out, "See, I told you. I always attract the wrong people." Loop closed. Pattern reinforced. Reality hardened. The past collapse. Here's one most people miss. You're not just collapsing your future. You're recollapsing your past. Every time you tell a story about your past, you're not just sharing history. You're recreating it in the present moment. You tell the story of your divorce. She never appreciated what I did for her. Measurement made. Past relationship collapses into unappreciated effort. You tell the story of your career. I worked my ass off and got nothing for it. Measurement made. Life story collapses into unrewarded labor. You tell the story of your childhood. We never had enough. Measurement made. Origin story collapses into scarcity. And here's the quantum truth that'll blow your mind. Your subconscious doesn't timestamp memories as past. It stores them as data about identity. When you repeatedly tell these stories, your subconscious doesn't think, "That was then, this is now." It thinks, "This is who I am." And it builds your present and future to match that identity. This is why people who constantly rehash old wounds never heal. Not because the wounds were too deep, because they keep reopening them through linguistic repetition. Every time you tell the story, you remeasure the pain into present reality. Every time you describe what always happened, you program it to keep happening. Every time you explain why you are the way you are, You lock yourself into being that way. The nightly reinforcement. And then the final collapse of the day. You lie in bed. You review your day. And what do you think? I didn't get enough done. I should have handled that better. Tomorrow will probably be the same. I'm not making progress. 4 final measurements before sleep. And sleep is critical because your subconscious is most receptive during the hypnagogic state between waking and sleeping. Whatever you impress upon it in those moments gets encoded with maximum potency, so you're ending every single day by programming inadequacy, regret, stagnation, helplessness, directly into your subconscious, which wakes up the next morning and creates more of exactly that. This is the invisible prison, the language loop, the quantum trap. And you've been in it so long you think it's just reality. But it's not reality. It's your observation of reality, which became your reality through the mechanism of collapse. All right, you've seen the mechanism, you understand the physics, you've recognized yourself in the patterns. Now what? How do you actually change this? How do you reprogram decades of unconscious linguistic conditioning? How do you take this theoretical knowledge and turn it into practical transformation you can start seeing results from tonight? Not with affirmations that feel fake. Not with positive thinking that doesn't stick. Not with vision boards that collect dust. With protocol. With precision. With quantum observer discipline. I'm going to give you 7 specific protocols. These aren't suggestions. These aren't things to try when you feel like it. These are scientific interventions based on quantum mechanics and ancient wisdom. Use them exactly as described, and you'll start collapsing different realities within 48 hours. Skip them or half-ass them, and nothing changes. Your choice. Protocol 1. The 48-hour speech audit. First, you need to see the invisible. You need to witness your unconscious language patterns. Here's how. For the next 48 hours, starting the moment you finish this. You're going to become a witness to your own speech, not to judge it, not to fix it yet, just to see it. Equipment needed. Small notebook or phone notepad app. Brutal honesty with yourself. The practice. Every time you catch yourself saying something about yourself, your life, your past, your future, write it down, verbatim. Exactly as you said it. Pay special attention to these patterns. I always, I never, I can't, I'm not, I'm terrible at, that's just how people like me, at my age. Also track how you describe your body, how you talk about money, how you explain your past, how you describe your relationships, how you respond to compliments, how you react to opportunities. Why this works: you cannot change what you cannot see. And 95% of your linguistic programming is completely unconscious. You say these things automatically, reflexively, without thought. This audit brings the unconscious into consciousness. And quantum mechanically, observation changes the observed. The moment you start witnessing your language, you begin disrupting the automatic pattern. Warning: this will be uncomfortable. You're going to be shocked at how often you collapse negative realities. You'll be embarrassed, maybe ashamed, possibly angry at yourself. Don't judge it, just observe it. You're not bad for doing this. You're not weak. You were never taught. You're just finally seeing the program that's been running you. Protocol 2. The immediate interrupt. Once you've spent 24 to 48 hours witnessing, you're ready for intervention. Here's the practice. Catch yourself mid-sentence. Stop. Reframe. This requires vigilance, awareness, conscious effort. But it's the single most powerful quantum intervention you can make. Examples. When an old sentence starts forming in your mind, I'm terrible with technology. I always mess this up. I'll never be able to afford that. At my age, I can't. Interrupt it immediately. Stop, pause, breathe. Do not let the sentence finish, because finishing it is how the pattern locks in. Then replace it, calmly and deliberately, with a new instruction. I'm learning how technology works. I'm getting better at this. I'm learning how to create that level of income. I'm capable of growth at any age. The pause breaks the automatic loop. The replacement gives your mind a new direction to build toward. Notice the pattern. You're not lying. You're not faking it till you make it. You're not pretending problems don't exist. You're choosing a different probability to collapse. Instead of measuring yourself into a fixed negative state, you're measuring yourself into an open trajectory. I'm not good with technology equals fixed state, collapsed, permanent. I'm learning to understand technology better equals open trajectory. Process, possibility. Quantum difference, fixed states, close probability. They nail the wave function into one form. Open trajectories preserve probability. They keep the field fluid. This is the difference between I am broke, I'm building wealth, trajectory opening, or I'm unhealthy, state collapse. I'm becoming healthier, probability preservation. Same circumstances, different observation, different reality. Advanced technique. After you reframe, say it out loud even if you're alone. Why? Because spoken words carry more quantum weight than thought. Sound is vibration. Vibration affects matter. Speaking the reframe makes it more real at the field level. Protocol 3. The strategic silence practice. Remember the monks? They preserved probability through silence. You're going to do the same. The practice. 1 hour each day, preferably first thing in the morning, speak as little as possible. Not complete silence necessarily, but strategic silence. No. Unnecessary commentary. Automatic responses. Filling awkward pauses. Complaining. Storytelling about your problems. Describing your limitations. What this does, every word you speak is a measurement. Most of your words are unconscious repetitions of old programs. Silence stops the transmission. Think of it like this. Your mouth has been broadcasting the same frequency for years. The same signal. The same program. That signal has been collapsing the same realities over and over. Silence breaks the transmission. And in that gap, in that space between broadcasts, new possibilities can emerge. The field can reorganize itself without your constant interference. How to implement. Wake up. Don't immediately grab your phone. Don't turn on the TV. Don't start talking to yourself. Sit in silence. Stand in silence. Move through your morning routine in silence. If you live with someone, warn them beforehand. I'm practicing morning silence for my mental health. Use gestures when necessary. Keep it calm and peaceful, not weird or hostile. Use this hour for conscious breathing. Observation without judgment. Awareness of your thoughts without speaking them. Feeling your body without narrating about it. What you'll notice, your mind will scream at you to speak, to narrate, to comment. That's the program trying to reassert itself. Let it scream. Don't engage, just breathe, just observe, just be. This creates quantum space. Space for new timelines to form. Space for different probabilities to emerge. Space for your life to reorganize around a new frequency. Protocol 4. The nightly revision ritual. This one comes from Neville Goddard, but it's backed by Wheeler's quantum mechanics and the concept of delayed choice. Remember, observation in the present can affect what happened in the past. The practice. Every night before sleep, you're going to revise your day, not rehash it, not replay it, not ruminate on it. Revise it. Here's how. 1. Lie in bed, close your eyes. 2. Replay your day backwards, from now back to waking up. 3. When you hit a moment that needs revision, stop. Moments that need revision. Times you spoke limitation. Times you felt powerless. Times you were disrespected. Times you failed or made mistakes. Times you felt fear or shame. 4. Revise the scene. Don't just think about it differently. Vividly imagine it differently, with emotion, with sensory detail. If you said, "I'm so forgetful," revise it. Imagine yourself saying, "My memory serves me well." If someone disrespected you, revise it. Imagine them treating you with respect. If you failed at something, revise it. Imagine yourself succeeding. Critical. Feel the revision. Don't just visualize it. Feel the emotional reality of the revised version. Feel the pride, the confidence, the respect, the success. Because your subconscious doesn't respond to mental imagery alone. It responds to emotion, to feeling, to vivid sensory experience. Why this works? Your subconscious doesn't timestamp memories as past. It stores them as identity data. When you revise a memory emotionally, when you observe it differently, your subconscious accepts the revision as truth. Not because you're lying to yourself, because at the quantum level the past isn't fixed. It's a probability field that can be recollapsed through present observation. Wheeler proved this with the delayed choice experiment. You're just applying it to your personal timeline. What happens over time? Your baseline identity starts to shift. You stop identifying as the person things happen to. You start identifying as the person who creates their reality. And that identity shift changes everything. Protocol 5. The morning declaration practice. Now you're going on offense. The practice. Every morning before you touch your phone, and I mean before. This is crucial. Before you let the world's frequency in, you're going to set yours. Create a 30 to 60 second present tense declaration. Not a wish list, not hopes and dreams. A decree, a command. The format, I am identity. I create reality. I attract experience. I embody quality. Here's an example. I am a powerful creator, fully sovereign in my experience. I create opportunities, abundance, and meaningful connections effortlessly. I attract aligned people, resources, and experiences that elevate my path. I embody confidence, clarity, and unstoppable momentum. This is who I am. This is what I do. So it is. Customize it. Make it yours. But keep it present tense. Keep it declarative. No trying, no hoping, no someday. This is who I am right now. How to speak them, not with force, not with desperate hope, not with fake enthusiasm, with calm certainty, like stating a law of physics. Because that's exactly what you're doing. You're not asking the universe for permission. You're issuing a quantum command. You're collapsing a specific probability wave through direct observation. Quantum mechanics. Your intention focuses your attention. Your attention directs your observation. Your observation collapses probability. The declaration is the collapse. What to avoid? Don't attach desperate emotion. Desperation broadcasts lack. Don't beg or plead. That broadcasts powerlessness. Don't question or doubt immediately after. That uncollapses what you just collapsed. Just declare, then release, then move forward as if it's done. Protocol 6, the qualifier elimination. This is subtle, but devastatingly powerful. The practice. Pay attention to how often you weaken your own words with qualifiers. Qualifiers include, I'll try to, maybe I can, I think I might, hopefully, I guess. Kind of, sort of, probably. Every qualifier is a quantum hedge. It's your way of not committing, of protecting yourself from disappointment, of avoiding responsibility. But here's what your subconscious hears. Uncertainty, doubt, lack of authority. So it doesn't take your command seriously. The fix, remove all qualifiers from your speech. Instead of, I'll try to get that done. Say, I will get that done, or I won't get that done. Instead of, maybe I can figure this out. Say, I'm figuring this out, or I need help with this. Instead of, I think I might go, say, I'm going, or I'm not going. Instead of this, hopefully it'll work. Say, it will work, or I'll handle whatever happens. Notice, this isn't about arrogance, it's about energetic clarity. Weak language creates weak collapses. Strong, clear language creates strong, clear collapses. You're removing the static from your broadcast. What happens? People start taking you more seriously. Opportunities start responding to you differently. Your own nervous system starts believing your commands, because you're finally speaking with quantum authority. Protocol 7. The gratitude reframe. Final protocol. Most people miss this entirely. The practice. Every time you're about to complain, pause and reframe through gratitude. Not fake positivity, not forced appreciation. Strategic redirection of observation. Examples. Instead of, traffic sucks, reframe, say nothing. Or, I have time to think. Instead of, this weather is terrible, reframe, say nothing. Or, the seasons are changing. Instead of, I hate my job, reframe, say nothing. Or, this is temporary. Instead of, my body's falling apart, reframe, say nothing. Or, my body is showing me what needs attention. Instead of, I never have enough money, reframe, say nothing. Or, I'm learning to manage resources better. Why this works? Complaining is observation, and observation collapses reality. When you complain, you're measuring problems, and whatever you measure expands. Gratitude or neutral observation measures solutions. Same reality, different collapse. Quantum principle. The field responds to where you place your attention. Attention on problems equals more problems manifest. Attention on solutions/possibilities equals more solutions manifest. Advanced understanding. You're not denying that problems exist. You're choosing which part of reality to amplify through your observation. Every situation contains multiple aspects. Traffic is slow. But you also do have time to think. Weather is cold. But the seasons are changing. Job is unfulfilling. But it is temporary. You're choosing which aspect to collapse into your dominant reality. Integration. These 7 protocols work synergistically. Morning, silence hour, +3 declarations. Throughout the day, speech audit, plus interrupt and reframe, plus remove qualifiers, plus gratitude reframe. Evening. Revision ritual before sleep. This is not optional. This is not when you feel like it. If you want different results, you need different observations. If you want different observations, you need different language. If you want different language, you need conscious daily practice. The quantum field doesn't respond to your desires. It responds to your dominant frequency. And these protocols change your frequency. We're near the end. So let me bring this all together. You came here because some part of you already knew that something was off, knew that there was more, knew that the life you've been living wasn't the life you were meant to live, and now you know why. Your words have been programming your reality, and nobody ever taught you how to use them correctly. You've been speaking unconsciously for decades, collapsing limitation, measuring yourself into struggle, observing yourself into patterns you never chose. But now you see it, and you can't unsee it. John Archibald Wheeler proved that observation creates reality. The ancient mystics guarded this truth for millennia, and now you hold it. So here's your choice, and it's the most important choice you'll ever make. You can close this and go back to unconscious speech. You can pretend you don't know what your words are doing. You can keep collapsing the same timelines and hoping for different results, or you can become the conscious architect of your reality. You can stop letting your mouth run on autopilot. You can stop cursing yourself into limitation. You can stop measuring yourself into a life you never chose. And you can start speaking clearly, consciously, deliberately, the reality you actually want. Not someday, not when conditions are perfect, not when you feel ready. Tonight. Before you go to sleep, you're going to practice the revision ritual. You're going to rewrite today, collapse a different timeline, observe a different past. Tomorrow morning, before the world gets to you, you're going to speak your 3 declarations. You're going to issue quantum commands that collapse specific probabilities into form. And for the next 48 hours, you're going to witness your language. You're going to see, really see what you've been saying, thinking, measuring, creating, and then you're going to change it. Consciously, deliberately, permanently. This is not motivation. This is not inspiration. This is instruction. This is protocol. This is the mechanism by which reality actually operates. And you now have access to it. But here's what most people won't tell you. Knowledge without application is worthless. You can know all of this and do nothing. You can understand the mechanism and still speak unconsciously. You can see the pattern and still collapse limitation. And if you do that, nothing changes. The universe doesn't care what you know, it only responds to what you do. So the real question isn't, is this true? The real question is, will you use it? Will you commit to 90 days of conscious language? Will you interrupt old patterns even when it's uncomfortable? Will you declare new realities even when they feel fake? Will you hold your frequency even when everyone around you tries to pull you back? Will you become the observer who consciously collapses the timeline you actually want? Because if you really commit to this, your life will change so fundamentally that you won't recognize it in 6 months. Not because of magic, not because of luck, because you'll have reprogrammed your quantum observation field to collapse different probabilities. You'll be speaking a different language, thinking different thoughts, observing different realities, entangled with different frequencies. And reality will mirror it all back to you. Exactly. Because that's how it works. That's how it's always worked. You just didn't know you were doing it, but now you do. And you can never unknow it. Ancient mystics whispered this truth because they understood something modern people forgot. Reality is listening. Every word, every thought, every observation. The field is participatory, and your participation determines your experience. So speak like you know the power you hold, because you do now. Reality is not solid, it's fluid, it's responsive, it's yours to shape. And your voice is the tool through which you shape it. Use it wisely. Use it consciously. Use it powerfully. Your next words create your next reality. Make them count. If this hit you where it needed to, if you felt the truth of this in your body, not just your mind. Drop a comment below right now. Tell me what limitation spell you're breaking today. What word or phrase are you cutting out starting right now? I'm reading every single one. Let's hold each other accountable. Let's build a community of conscious observers who refuse to speak unconsciously anymore. Like this, if you're ready to stop collapsing limitation. Subscribe if you're done with surface-level content. Because this is just the beginning. There's so much more they've hidden from us, and we're bringing it all to light. Every single secret, every hidden truth. You're going to be ungovernable when we're done. Welcome to your quantum sovereignty. The spell is broken, the programming is cancelled, the control is over, and you are free. Free to speak your reality into existence. Free to claim your power. Free to collapse the timeline you actually want. You're a creator. You always have been. You just forgot. But now you remember. So go create, consciously, powerfully. The universe is waiting for your command, and it will say yes, always.